Welcome to the Crazy Happy Podcast. Thank you for dropping in for your dose of crazy happiness and a quick hit of positivity. Welcome to episode 40. I'm your host, Tanya Vetter of TanyaVetter.com. Today's episode is being brought to you by Women Empowerment Training Institute, empowering women and youth through engagement and exposure. Happy Friday, guys. You know what today is. It's Finance Friday. It's where we talk all things money mindset, right? And I love talking about finances. It's one of those subjects that we are usually timorous in speaking about. But you know what? We do this on Fridays. So, hey, let's chat about money. Today's quote is coming from none other than Benjamin Franklin. And he says, "Those that fail to plan to fail." Say what? Yep. Those that fail to plan to fail. You know, there are two major challenges that we come up against in life, and that is how we spend our time and how we spend our money. But today's Finance Friday, so let's tackle money. I loved Jim Rohn's YouTube video, and you can check it out. It's called How to, or either What to Do with Money. I think it's What to Do with Money. And it's what I'm going to share with you today. Today's topic is 10, 10, 10, 70. Say what? Yes, 10, 10, 10, 70. And I love this idea about what we do with $1, because Jim Rohn shares something that I found absolutely helpful. And he says most people believe or say, when you ask them, what is your money plan? Most people will say, if I had more money, I'd have a better plan. But I love the idea that if we had a better plan, Jim says, we'd have more money. And I really was kind of hit by this, because all along I've been taught and told and believed, 10% was all that, we were quote unquote supposed to give, right? Well, Jim challenges that. He says, guys, let's start with $1. And his question was, how do you spend $1? If someone was to give you $1 right now, what would you do with it? And I'm going to break down Jim's strategy, because it is absolutely amazing. Challenging, but amazing. Number one, he says, we should never spend more than 70 cents of any dollar, whether we get that dollar by earning it or as a gift. All right. So number two is 10%. I'm going to break it down in dollar terms. 10 cents should go to charity. All right. 10 cents should be saved. That's what we call capital. So you set that aside. And then another 10 cents is what we call in some cultures tithing. Okay. And then think about this. You say, well, wait, 30 cents out of every dollar? Yes, 30 cents out of every dollar. And I know some of you are cringing, because when I was watching him say this, I was like, okay, wait, Jim, that sounds really, really great and wonderful. But I'm looking at this 30 cents that really needs to be contributed to some of my bills, right? But you know what I found out is that it's not the amount that counts. It's the plan that counts. And he kept saying that. It's not the amount, because we've been taught that it's the amount of money. How many of us have said, okay, when I make more money, I'm going to save more money? But it's not the amount that counts. Okay, and this is what abundant thinkers know. It's not the amount that counts. It's what you do with the amount that counts. How many stories have we heard where the average bus driver, for God's sakes, has saved so much of their money that they've ended up secretly becoming millionaires? How many stories have we heard like that? We've heard them, because it's not the amount that counts. It's what we do with the amount. It's the plan. And if we don't have a plan, then guess what? 9 times out of 10, if you don't have a plan for your money won't have a plan for you. It won't have a plan for you, because it won't be with you. So there was an analogy about the 10% that we put aside and save. An analogy he used was the farmer that has seed corn. Now, this farmer has seed corn, and this seed corn is the farmer's capital, right? It's going to be used and invested in the ground. Now, do you think this farmer is going to let his family eat that seed corn before he plants it? No, he's not, because it's going to be invested in the ground. It's going to be taken care of in the summer, and it's going to harvest and multiply in the fall. It's the same thing with our finances. But if we are not planting anything, right, then there's nothing to harvest, there's nothing to be multiplied. And so the analogy is that the 10% you give to charity, if you understand any of my other episodes, we know that giving and receiving is the same thing, right? And then save something that can multiply later on. And then tithing if you choose to. That's one of the things that I am really passionate about. So all of these areas are, it looks like a lot on paper, but the benefits far outweigh what we consider a risk, right? And then I like the alternative he suggests. He said, okay, so some of our finances are just not in the position to stretch it to where it's 10, 10, 10, 70. Then do 11197, right? Do 11197 and watch what happens. Your commitment to the plan. Your commitment to the plan is what will cause it to grow, right? And then you can increase it over time, right? And it reminds me of the passage that says, be faithful over a few things, right? So if you can't stretch it to 10, 10, 10, 70, give the 11197 if that's your case, or whatever, whatever your situation is. But then as it increases, because you're committed to it, then you can increase the amount that you're giving. But it's not, guys, I want to be very clear. It's not about the amount. It's about the plan. Okay. But I will say this as a disclaimer, just from my personal life, there's something about the 10% mark. I don't know what it is, but it's something about the 10% in those three areas. I've just personally been doing it, and it is uncomfortable. And let me share this with you. It will be uncomfortable until it becomes a habit. You know what I noticed is, what's interesting is, have you ever noticed that the 10% that we usually say we're going to give, right? And say, you look at your numbers and you say, I just really can't swing it this time. I really can't do it. Have you ever noticed that an incident will come up that requires us to use that very same amount in portion or more that we initially knew we were going to give away? I've noticed that, like, years ago, the amount that I would plan to tithe and give away, and if I didn't do it, an incident or accident or an unexpected circumstance will come up that would cause for the exact same amount, right? So now I am very protective of making sure that I give these three, my 10% in these three areas. Is it a stretch? It is always a stretch, but here's the thing. If you are afraid and you have the money, that's a scarcity mindset. If you are afraid that you won't have enough and you're already, kind of tight with money, that's still a scarcity mindset. The two still have the same result. No matter the amount of money you have, if you don't believe that there is always enough and that God will provide, then guess what? No matter what the amount is, you will still be uncomfortable in your giving, because you're giving from a place of believing you don't have enough in the first place. So it always will go back to mindset. But I encourage you to start somewhere. Okay, and start somewhere. That's how you build your giving muscles. It's like working out. You don't just start with the 25-pound. You start with the 5-pound, then the 10-pound, then the 15, right? So build your giving muscles. That's my encouraging words to you, because what he says is, when we change, everything will change for us. I hope this episode has served you well. Thank you for checking in for your Dose of Finance Friday. You guys know what I say. Be light, be love, be you. Have a great weekend.